Ladies and gentlemen, after a week's break, SwiftX is back here in Spa, where nearly all Belgians live in cities outside in the countryside. It's castles, it's a holiday retreat, and there's 3 official languages of Belgium: Dutch, French, and German. That's 4, actually. 3. 70% of the lap will be taken at full throttle with the huge DRS towed down the Camel Straight. Always produces some fantastic overtaking into Lacombe Turn 5. It's also just a short 271-meter run down into La Source, which is the turn 1 in the corners the drivers can always make or break. Of course, with the DRS activation zone right there, you start to see some of the drivers back off a little bit before they go into those corners. We'll get ready, of course, for our qualifying session, and I am Nadine Biggles, and joining me again in the fantastic commentating box is Ben Stapford.
It's good to be here. Glad to be here, mate. It's good to see that commentator maths is still out in full force. So it's great to be back. You'll see, had that break week, but we are out in full swing once again. You excited for the racing we're about to see today?
I am, because we're in the sprint format, I believe, this weekend, so we're going to be a little bit different than the usual 50% race. It's going to spice things up.
You're certainly going to be spicing things up, because we don't really see the sprint format all that much, but it is still going to be a big change to the formula. So where we're used to our traditional quali setup, and then just a race straight after, you've got your own mini race, and that still counts as well. Remember, sprint races do mean points, mean more points than they did last year. So all the more important that you nail those sprints too.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's been some changes at the moment. So Imar has stepped down and won't be racing with us at the moment. That was our current champion there in the Ferrari. So that means you're going to spice things around. That Jasper Ten Haken now will become the driver that's now leading the championship and could very much be looking to wrap it up. Perhaps some will not wrap it up, of course, we've still got more racing to go. But Cameron's been dropped by the Red Bull. And what are the other changes that you're aware of there, Ben?
Yeah, so those are the 2 real main changes. So, of course, it is a shame to see Imar dropping out of the championship, at least for the time being. We wish him all the best. Of course, we say life comes first in the end. Hope the dude's doing well. And in his place comes Andreas Cortez, taking his Ferrari seat for the time being. And then Ryan Yelty is going to get a sudden call-up, a promotion, if you will, as they are getting geared up to run the Red Bull, replacing Cameron. So it's going to be interesting. So that's definitely going to be some big shake-ups, but we got some of the first drivers coming out on track now. Going to hop on board with Casson here in the Aston Martin, putting in some good form. And
to say, if you can jump on board and give us a hot lap, I'll give you a hot lap guide around Spa for you. On board the T-Cam, if you can. There as perfect as the Aston Martin's going to make their way down the long straight there of the DRS activation. He should be getting up to about maximum 440 to 241 kilometers an hour. Braking down into Lacombe, of course, swing it all the way around this turn. I had the corner numbers names before, but this is up to Brussels. Big sweeping corner. You can see it continuously as it turns and turns and turns and turns, and then you want to sweep it over to the right-hand side immediately as possible, get a good exit. And then do the esports line on Poohan right here. Go out as close as you can to the braking markers and then swing all over full speed. You can go invalidation there pretty easy. Doesn't climbs his way back up to the top, up into 8th gear right now. Starts close to the 300 kilometers an hour and then sweeps it through campus here. It's very, very tricky. Go off camper pretty quickly and you can actually bin it into the wall. That's where a lot of mistakes are made. You're almost at the top of the hill here, the elevation change right up here on turn 16. And then it's not that bad, but this is where you're going to get the power down completely because you just go flat as much as you can. He's backing off, I believe, at the moment. Yes, he has. So elected not to do it as E2 will go fastest in the moment.
Yes, that's going to be E2 Lapalina top in the timesheets right now. 143 flat. Bashberg coming in with a 143.5 and Maximilian Kloss coming in to top the podium, at least for now, with a 143.8. So drivers have certainly got to have their wits about them, but everyone is going to be hopping out on track. Right now, we are on board with Peter Locke here, seeing how they're doing. They've been on a flyer. Going to see if they can challenge for any of the top rungs, but no, it looks like they are going to back off, yield to traffic on the track. Who is that going to be going around to? That is going to be Luke Franklin, who is going to set a 148. Hang on, is going to set a 143.834, which is an identical time to Kos.
Yeah, exactly. I saw that. Exactly, and it goes to the driver who sets it first that gets the advantage. Keep an eye for the Alpha, I was about to say Luke at the moment, but he's going to box into the pit lane right now. It's Lenny Cook. He's going into the pit lane after they set some. This is quite interesting with some of the telemetry, but the Ferrari perhaps of Noah. Fastest middle sector.
It's got the fastest sector 2, running pretty cleanly. Looks like, is it going to be anything at the top end? It's going to be close, but it's going to be a 0.7. Not going to quite be enough. Tanakin comes in with a 0.062, just shy of the leads. Not quite going to be enough in this case. Kassan going back for another run here, it looks like. Let's see how they do. They're going full flyer here. It's on good pace. Coming through the bus stop now, which actually got remodeled to look less like a bus stop. There you go, down the final straight.
That's where I get picked up to go back to the hotel.
It's going to be enough for a P3, so 0.507, very nicely done from the Aston Martin.
Very interesting at the moment they get those first times in. We still have at least 11 minutes to change for qualifying. Remember, it's a long lap here. It's the longest in the Formula 1 calendar, just shy of just over 7 kilometers. There's always a debate. It's at 7,003 meters. Some people are saying it's a little less and some of them more. I got out there with a meter wheel, one of those measuring wheels, and I walked the whole track. It was 7,003 meters and 0.28 centimeters or something.
Yeah, and fun fact, when
That's
they
4.3 miles.
When they remodeled the bus stop chicane, it went from exactly under by 3 meters to exactly above by 3 meters. So take with that what you will.
Yeah.
So a little bit of trivia there, a little bit of track history.
It wouldn't be allowed in the Formula 1 calendar anymore if you are over, of course, 7 kilometers. That's the limit.
But Teo, that is, let's say, it's a piece of history. So you got some tracks that are very much special cases. I'm pretty sure if we tried to add Monaco in today's day and age, it definitely would not pass. Certainly safety restriction, if nothing else, but alas, it has a special place in the hearts of all fans.
No, it doesn't.
Spa, I was referring to Spa.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say. If they didn't have Spa on the calendar and they kept Monte Carlo, then I'd just be like protesting against Formula 1 for the rest of my life.
There we go. But
I will retire as a caster. There you go. That'll mess up Formula 1, won't it? No, of course nobody will care.
That's quite the statement to make. But right now, speaking of statements to make, we've got Guk coming down the Kennel Straight here, getting some good pace. It's a purple first sector, 2 tenths up at this point in time. Can they carry that pace? Mercedes dipping out of the way, yielding to faster traffic. It's good sportsmanship being shown there. All about hugging that inside line, coming through and all the way down to Prix. It's all about carrying the speed and the momentum. This is where a lot of drivers can easily get tripped up. It's just taking a little bit too much speed, a little bit too much of a line, and washing wide or not getting yourself set up for the rest of the corners on the circuit.
Yeah, everybody on the soft tyres at the moment this year, of course, everybody uses the soft tyres only for qualifying. Nobody really uses any other tyres because you got to start on any tyre compound you want, which most likely means that they're only going to be starting on the softs and the mediums and the hards. Oh, the oversteer moment there from Lenny, didn't it? Almost is collected. That's a scary thing to do when you're in excess of 200 plus kilometers per hour. Almost 324 kilometers an hour. At the moment, the top speed, believe it or not, from all the drivers has been Liam, 345 kilometers an hour.
Great stuff being shown from there. But they say the AlphaTauris on pretty good pace themselves. They lost a lot of time in the second sector, though. Hopefully they picked it back up. It's good enough for a P3, a 336. Very nicely done there. Going to put themselves on the podium, but not quite enough just yet. So on board
just having a look down the grid. They've got a bit of a spread, of course. So still drivers are putting in some time. 8 minutes to go. But down to Liam, he's got a 1 point. Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? Liam's the slowest on the timesheets at the moment, but the fastest on the track is in top speed. That goes to show you, isn't it? Top speed isn't everything. But it could have probably maybe, Ben, and maybe he's tweaked his car up to try to defend against the almighty overtakes down the Camel Straight. That's something to look at as well, too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the setup. Remember, so you got to be mindful of your setup because that carries through to a degree to the race. So if you set yourself up for battling on track, of course, you may lose some time out in qualifying, but it'll pay dividends if you can fight your way back up the grid, especially if strategy goes your way. But there we go.
And and that's the classic overtaking, obviously. You guys know all that know this track. I mean, the Camel Straight, the DRS is very, very powerful. You get a good exit, obviously, out of Radeon. Then, down the Camel Straight, it's very hard to defend against the DRS. You're going to have to burn your battery a little bit. And then usually it's always going to be, you see the side-by-side action as you go down into Lacombe. But if he's got that extra straight line speed, that's the thing. 345 kilometers an hour for him. And if you go down to, I'm just trying to look at some of the other drivers. What about, maybe you're thinking of E2? E2, you go look at E2, he's about 6 to 7 kilometers an hour slower. And some of the other drivers are 340. I'm just trying to think the Ferrari driver there of Noah. Noah, yeah. 334 kilometers an hour top speed. So look at that difference. Almost 10 kilometers an hour. That's a lot of Formula 1 car when you're looking at getting overtakes.
I tell you how that's going to be. Kloss coming over the line. It's a 449. Good enough for P5. Immediately gets pushed down by Tambrinka, though. There's a 214. It's enough for P4. Both Mercedes on the first and second row. Nicely done from them. 6 minutes on the clock here. Left in qualifying. You know that the drivers who remain are going to be wanting to improve that pretty sharpish.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a crunch time now because it's a long lap, of course, around here. So you got a long out lap, and then you got to get your flying lap done, and then you got a long in lap. As obviously, if you choose to get your in lap done before the time clicks. A lot of people have been asking about where is Emar. Unfortunately, Emar is not racing for us for the foreseeable future. As for what happened, I don't know. I have messaged him. I hope everything's okay. That's the main thing, obviously. I believe he's okay. I just believe he's got some family stuff or school stuff or something up at the moment. That's more of a life priority. But once we find out any information, we'll let you know. And the main thing is that he's okay. I believe we're informed about that. So he hasn't answered my messages yet, so I'll find out if I hear anything. But we will miss him, of course, for now. But we'll give our drivers an opportunity, of course, to step up to the big shoes he's already filled to fill.
And that's the question: is any driver going to stand tall as the leader in their stead? You got Kassan coming down now, final straight, has got a really good run up until this point. It's going to be a P1. It's a 42.672. Great job there. And this is what I was saying in previous rounds. This is the Will Kassan we know, and what is capable of is astounding on his day. And we've just had that proven to us.
What a statement. I mean, everybody was separated by about 1/10 for that field there for a bit. And then he's coming and go 1/10, bang. Make that almost 4/10. Just annihilated the lap. The only man in the 42 clubs, for sure.
Exactly. It's one thing to go in and scrape a 42. But Kassan didn't just scrape a 42. He was nearly halfway down the rung of the 42. So 0.672 there. That is, and I believe, Ben,
it didn't even set a purple sector. I don't believe he set one purple sector.
And that is very true.
If I'm not mistaken.
They were all greens.
Yeah, so it goes to show his average. Yeah. At the moment, Royal, the thumbnail did show Monaco, but it's Belgium. That's just the thumbnail. It's okay. It still says the correct title at the bottom there. We are round 9, sponsored by NordVPN, of course. So when you get to turn your NordVPN on, and it'll update with the thumbnail. We'll get that sorted out. Joshua's on an out lap. Korsgaard's on an out lap. Noah's on a flying lap, but
it has invalidated.
Yeah. Well, we're not confirmed, but you know how I like to do my little rain dances.
Oh, here we go.
I'm waiting for this now.
Here we go.
Well, I was about to say, there is a possibility of some rain towards maybe the end of our feature race. We'll see, but I'll have to give it a little bit. I have to wait for those clouds. Don't worry about it out there, but we won't keep you an hour's delay. like in Japan, okay, we can go straight into it. There won't be a delay because of the weather. That's a good thing about esports, isn't it? We don't have to worry about those things.
Yeah, it's great. It's truly great. But trust Dean to be the one to bring of a race that already has plenty of variety, being round two of our 3 sprint rounds over the course of the season. But it's only fair to throw a little bit of rain in there too, potentially. Really go for the full roulette here.
That's what I do, mate. Bring the rain.
Here you go. Bashford is going for a run here. Potentially going to get a toe of his teammate down the Kemmel Straight. If he can play his cards right, he can get the purple first sector here. Going to be teeing himself up. Got full resources at his disposal. His teammate up ahead. Cracking 210 miles an hour. Great speed there from the Alpha. His teammate going to yield. Go on the inside on the grass. He's going to hold that very nicely. It's still green first sector though. But it got some good speed. Oh, a little bit too deep. Coming through there. Just overcook it a little. You heard a little bit of the scrubbing of the tyres there. And it's one to be keeping an eye on. So keep maximising the track limit. Very nicely done there from Bashford. So just keeping it on the straight and narrow. It's all about maximising that track width, really. Just especially on Spa, where you've got so many complexes, so many chicanes, almost getting it rearward there in that Alpha. In fact, it's going to be scrubbing about half a second to the top rung there. Going to be losing a fair wad of time. As the local yellows are waved, or say slower traffic. That is going to be what looks like AJ Jackson. And there we go, coming across the start-finish line. Bashford is going to get putting in a .092. Excellent stuff. Is going to be enough for a P4. Great work on the board from Bashford. Certainly a statement to make. Is anyone else, though? And that is the question. Is anyone else going to be putting themselves in the 42s? That is the question. We have 30 seconds here. It's running out of time. E2, though, getting very sideways. He's running out of time. He needs to get out of that gravel trap now if he wants any chance of another go. But he's missing an end play. It's all for naught. Couldn't minimize the damage to the point where he's now going to have to settle for P2. He doesn't have another option. He has no other option than to sit this one idly by. Tanakan, though, is going to be coming out. Is going to just about make the threshold. Barely makes it here in the Mercedes. And has a time for one more lap. But has he got the resources to do so? Has he burnt those tyres, potentially? Looks like he was on an outlap previously, but let's hope that he was. You can see the speed, the absolute rockets these cars are. There you go, there's going to be E2.
I'm back, yep, here we go.
Wondering where you've gone, mate. There you go. Tanakan's not going to have the speed on the first sector. Can he make it up on the second? He needs to nail the line up here. Oh, again, hearing the scrubbing of the tyres as you come down the hill. Gotta be painful. It's the last thing you ever want to hear as an F1 driver. It's just the squealing of that rubber. You want it to be gripped up. You want to follow the line of the natural grip. But if you're scrubbing the tyres like that, you're going to scorch through them, going to score them up, and you are going to drop your top grip level. But there we go. Looks like someone was marooned in the middle of track. That looks like that was Casson there, trying to go for another run. Ted Brink is going to go into the 955s in the 42s. This is going to be the second driver to do so. Lenny Cook at .88 is going to be an improvement, but it's not going to be enough to crack the 42s. It's going to be putting himself in P5 here. Tanakan is coming around. He's going to see, is he going to make an improvement now? As the last few drivers come across the line, it looks like they are through. Not going to be any improvement from them. Tanakan goes the fastest. Is going to be a 758, the fastest in the last runners. And is there going to be any upset to the order? You got Locke still on track. It is not. That is going to be qualifying done.
Yeah, what a lap there from Will, isn't it? Will Casson just kind of annihilated that lap a little bit earlier, but just off the potato hack and tried to get it by 86 thousandths of a second, couldn't get it done.
Just could not get it done. Actually, that is going to be the results. Right, so P1 to P13 here for you. Say Will Casson taking the lead with a 42.672, puts them in good form for the sprint race. And Ten Hacken and Tim Brinker both pairing up. So the Mercedes P2 and P3 on the podium ahead of the sprint is certainly going to be some exciting racing. And then rounding out the top 5 is going to be Lapalainen and Lenny Cook. And you see the rest of them reeling on screen now. But Dean, sprint race. How are you feeling about it?
Good. I'm feeling good. I think that you're going to see a lot more opportunities. People have to gun for it immediately. You're not going to have a long race, so you've got to get it done as quickly as possible. So I expect to see a lot of bold, brave moves early on. That's what sprint races produce, and then of course after that with a feature race, you're going to then see so. This is a dress rehearsal perhaps for the main show. We'll see, but the weather conditions will be okay for this one. Should be fine. It's into turn 1. That's gonna be the fun one, is it? La Source.
So it's looking like a fairly dry race. So saying that, I don't want to jinx it necessarily. However, you can see everyone lining up on track for the sprint. Everyone is geared and ready to go.
Yeah, apologize for cutting out a little bit before. One of my internets decided to die, so I went to my backup internet. They throw everything at me here in this country, mate. They throw everything at me. If electricity goes down, I go to my backup generator. If my first internet goes down, I go to my backup internet. You cannot stop me from casting. Throw everything at me and I'll always find a way.
The heavens themselves could open and that would not be enough for this man. And it's something I absolutely respect. But there you go. There is your countdown, folks. This is your countdown for the race ahead. It's going to be a sprint. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be different. There you go.
Yeah, and they get a formation lap. Yes, okay. So we're not going to catch us off guard on that one. That happens sometimes, as you're aware. Everybody on the mediums, mate. That's it. So nobody gambling obviously in the hards. We don't really need to, do you? Because it's a sprint race.
Yeah, well, so sprint. You might even see some really trying to stretch out those mediums.
Amazing camera management. Blair. Yeah. We have 2 to use from. So Ben's got 2 to choose from. Sometimes it works really, really brilliantly. Sometimes it's out of our control. But one thing that's not out of control is the fact that you're going to have an Aston Martin on pole. And on the outside, just a little bit there, will be your Williams. Both of your Mercedes are going to be there, followed by the Haas. So the last source, turn 1. Are both the Mercs going to try and get a jump on Will? Remember, the outside line there is pretty fast, so P1 and P2 are very important. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, remember, they are in optimal position to put as much pressure as they can on that Aston. 5 lights, the red is track is live, and we're away. It's going to be a good getaway from Casson. He knows the threat behind him and got the best getaway he could there. It's a really good run, really setting the tone of the race already. It's going to be fighting up and down the field. Looks like behind is a little bit of action. Hardwick dropping back behind Locke. Cook getting ahead of Lapalainen, tussling with Lapalainen, heading into Eau Rouge and Raddy on here.
Oh!
Casson is going to be...
There's a massive crash! It's a massive crash. It's because I saw 2 drivers going through Eau Rouge. I thought, no way, you can't be doing that already. That's Liam, that's Thomas, that's Korsgaard and Josh. Oh, massive crash. This should be really a red flag. Remember the terms and conditions of the red flag? Where was it, 4 or more?
I believe it was 5 cars.
It's 5.
In an incident, and that brings out the full safety car, but it's not enough for the red flag.
Wow. Yeah, I couldn't get any highlights working on that one, but that was, there was 2 side by side, mate, up through Eau Rouge, and that's not something you can really do in a Formula 1 car. I have seen it probably about once or twice in my life of commentating races in Spa. I don't know about you, Ben, but yeah, you gotta close your eyes when they do that, and obviously that's happened. High-speed accident, and it's taken out 4 cars.
Yeah, that's certainly a nail biter. I do not envy any of the drivers who have got in that situation, because it's not even just being in that situation, it's just barely making it out. Because, of course, you're questioning what the heck just happened. Where do we go from here? What's the plan? And everyone, whether you're in a rhythm or not, whether you're 1 lap in or 10 laps in, you are thrown out at the moment. You got to bring yourself back in, get yourself back into the car, so to speak, if you want yourself to come out alive of that.
It was. I wonder if I can get it here from maybe Liam or something like that about that, because he was obviously a part of that. As it was very hard to see, of course, we couldn't show you that because we're focusing on the action at the front, which was a good getaway, obviously, from Will Casson, didn't it? I mean, he did manage to hold off both of the Mercs. He did the right thing, took it into the corner. So, sorry, I've got a little bit of hiccups at the moment. Liam, too wide into a Rouge, I saw. So, were you side by side? Can you explain it? Because we didn't quite catch it on the pictures. What happened there?
It was me you want to be talking to. I'm pretty sure it's Josh that was too wide.
It was Josh that was too wide, but you were involved in that accident.
Right at the back. Yeah.
So,
right at the back.
And because they crashed, so those two went side by side, and they crashed, and then what? You were just a passenger that ran.
Yeah.
That, and because the other two cars that were behind, obviously,
yeah.
I mean, so there's just carbon fiber, there's cars flying everywhere. I just saw a massive pile up there. So yeah, it's unfortunate, isn't it? But it's good to see you're okay. And obviously this is the sprint, so you get to go again in the feature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm from your point of view because you had a bird's eye view into it. So yeah, I think two through a Rouge obviously is not the best way to go.
No, definitely
not. For the first, but anyway. Anyway, thanks very much for that. Looking forward to seeing you on the track there for the feature race. Ben, any questions to Liam before we let him
I think we're
checked
just
up in the medical center?
I think we're just trying to take it in ourselves, but he said, got to get yourself checked up on that one, mate.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it's only the sprint race, because if it was the feature race, I reckon it'd probably be a red flag from the race director. But
Yeah, because there was 5 or more, isn't it? Or 5, because that was 4 in that one.
Four that went, and then 2 people got damaged from it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, plenty of points now for everybody, because I mean, you finish the race right now, you get points.
Only top 6.
Oh, only top 6. My apologies.
Race.
So yeah. All right.
Only top 6, but yeah, all good.
Well, yep, that's good. Well, get checked, of course. Get back in there and get your car all fixed up. You better help him fix your car up, mate, because the feature race is coming up soon, straight after. By the way, just to confirm, we're going to have a gap there from between, or are we going straight into it?
Yeah, there will be an intermission.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
No worries.
There we go. So that's what we had from the driver, of course, of Liam. Thomas Korsgaard and Joshua Bashford were also involved in that accident that are out. That's caused the safety car, so Will's still leading it. By the way, just double checking, what is the safety car? So do we have an Aston Martin or so an Aston Martin 1 and 2.
Yeah, I can say our 2 favorite drivers. I say Casson gets the fastest lap. Bernd Mailander leads the race here. And looks like the second Aston Martin of Frankland, as well as the Williams, both went into the pits. That must be the 2 that Liam was referring to, talking about taking damage there, and has come out on soft. So luckily, the safety car means they can essentially repair for free. So a bit of a lucky break for the 2, and given they'll be on the softer compound when the race restarts, that might even be a blessing in disguise.
Well, I believe actually, AJ didn't get any damage. I know AJ started at the back because he just was late into the qualifying. Didn't get the qualifying done, so managed to get the car. Whatever they had their problems with the car, they got it out there for the race. But he just came in for changing the soft tires. I guess he just decided to elect, okay, I'm plump last anyway, got nothing to lose, put some soft tires on, because his pit stop was 22 seconds, which is the regular pit stop. Couldn't quite see the pit stop time there from Luke to let you know whether or not that was actually damage or not for the Aston Martin. We need a TED.
Yeah, we need the eyes on the pit lane, seeing what's going on there. But one thing we know for sure is that Alfa Romeo is going to be absolutely fuming. They had such a good position previously, only for both of their drivers to be collected in an incident.
That's right, yeah. But I believe it could have been, as Liam said, it was Joshua and somebody, couldn't remember who it was, that was, if anybody in the chat knows or is chatting to him, side by side through a Rouge. So that's That's on themselves on that one. I don't know who was to blame specifically, but what I saw in the corner of my eye was 2 cars climbing up to a Rouge, and you know there's not enough space there. You know that they're both responsible for any accident in a Rouge side by side. Give them credit there for giving it a shot, especially in a sprint race, because that's when you probably would give it a shot, mate, because you got less to lose per se.
Of course, we'll have to give them credit where credit is due, but also the case of the Alfa Romeo is going to have to question how much of that incident, how much of that loss is self-inflicted. Of course, we'll hear fully when the report is out from the stewards, and in fact they are already investigating the incident. So it just happened, so quick on it there from the team. But right now you got the race about to restart. It's going to be a full 5-lap shootout, looks like, if that.
Yeah, so only a couple laps of the DRS as well. Yep. I think Casper's already off the road, mate. Bang. Gap with that. He's caught everybody napping on that race restart, I think. Yes, he has.
It's looking good. It's looking good for Casson here. It's got really good lead already, especially if he can break that DRS gap for the last few laps once it eventually gets reactivated following the incident. Looks like Tabrinka's struggling a little bit, getting a bit of a wobble on, but Franklin has already started capitalizing along with Jackson, as both of the soft runners have already gained a place on Kloss and are going to be catching up to the rest of the field in no time flat.
Yeah, fantastic idea. Why not take a gamble if you're at the back of the field there just for a pit stop, and it's working out brilliantly, of course, there for the soft runners. So keep an eye on that. AJ looks like I have a little bit more pace there than Luke. We'll see about that as they go into Lacombe, but also at the lead there, hasn't broken that DRS yet. Lenny Cook's looking pretty pacey at the moment, I had to say too, mate. And P5 after that race restart there. He's got E2 up the road, Lapalainen.
Yeah,
and then, of course, the other battle there of Noah behind Lenny Cook as well, starting to put pressure on him. So expect to see something soon, perhaps halfway through our first sprint race.
He's going to be pushing, definitely be pushing, because they have got to contend with probably one of the fastest qualifiers on track, Mr. Saturday, so to speak. Got work cut out for him there. Looks like him washing a little bit wide, heading into the third sector. But right now, it's all down to the wire. So Franklin is going to be surging up surely soon enough. And in fact, they've taken a look at a lock right now because he's going to be under a little bit of pressure from the 2 drivers behind. So Jackson and Franklin are both making a push. It's a big lock up from the Ferrari ahead, catches lock off guard, and that's going to condense the field suddenly very, very quickly. It's got this battle all the way down at the back of the field is where it's at this time. But look,
he's going to have to defend, isn't he? Noah is going to have to defend in their Ferrari. Oh, then again, the Ferrari got a good exit, I'd have to say, out of La Source, and then they're going to climb their way up through the old magical Arouge, the crime scene a couple of laps earlier. Because they've removed all those cars and the drivers are all safe. Luke Franklin is going to make a run. Peter's probably too far back. I don't know. Peter Locke could be here. He's going to send one. It is a sprint race, so you can't really wait around all day. He elects to back off a little bit there through Lacombe, but he's going to be tucked up on the gearbox of that Ferrari. And he has got a spun. He has spun, actually. Just a little bit too greedy on the outside of that chicane. Live to see another day, but now
just a bit too trigger happy with the throttle there, I think. Just far too happy with the trigger throttle on the throttle. And that is probably the quickest way to lose your car. So you're chasing someone, you're on their tail, you're thinking, right, a little bit more juice, and that's all I need to get it round. I can get the superior speed, and just like that, you have out-accelerated yourself, and you are, boom, you are just around. And that's really all she wrote.
That's where you want to commit this one too, because you got to look at like Luke and AJ. They're 7th and 8th. You know, all of a sudden they're almost into a points position, just like that. Remember, they gambled on the soft tires, so they should come together. They should start working for them. Now they're going to have to catch the back there of Noah, the Ferrari. See if they get on. At the moment, Will was getting in and out of that 1 second with Jasper. Jasper's responding. I think every time Will kind of gets a 1.2 second gap, Jasper's at 10 hack and then responds. This is the DRS lap now. And this is going to be interesting. This is where AJ, this is where you're going to be keeping an eye out, mate. Luke and AJ, I'd imagine. I would not be surprised if they both don't get past the Ferrari driver into turn 1, into Lacombe. because of the fact that they're going to have the soft tires if they can get a good exit, obviously, up through Eau Rouge.
You know, they're saying that as it looks like the Ferrari's holding strong, really sort of holding his own to a degree there, so managing to get a bit of a gap, and still has the DRS from the driver ahead. So by no means are they out of the running. Although saying that, looks like a bit of a place trade as the DRS is already facilitating some moves. Tembrinka's down into P4, having been passed by Lapalainen with the DRS on the Camel Straight here.
Oh, and AJ's had a spin as well coming out of the corner, but you said that exactly. So Luke Tembinki's been overtaken. E2 Lapalainen has overtaken, so that's the exchange between the Haas splitting those Mercedes. AJ has a bit of a spin and has to settle probably for that P9. He's got a big gap. That torpedo lock that's just boxed just before. What else is going to happen now? Well, that's the battle in the midfield, isn't it? So,
yeah,
as you
right
can
now,
see,
eyes are on Tenaken. As you can see, he's trying to slowly reel in that Aston Martin. He's really sort of pushing. You can even see Car wanting to over-rotate and just can't. But Tenaken's kind of running out of juice here. He's used up pretty much all his resources. He's on 6%, minor graphical error, but he's on 6% right now. And we could have seen this a few laps ago, where he was already on the recharge from previous laps. You'll see those lights flashing as we go through. But all eyes are on these front two. They have just under 2 laps here. And Tenaken, whether on the heavy resource drain or not, is very slowly reeling that Aston in.
got to do something if he wants to get this race win. Not quite sure it's going to be enough. If he doesn't get him to obviously down the main straight, straight away the Camel Straight, then it's not a lot of overtaking opportunities you can do until you get into the bus stop chicane. But I tell you what, Lenny Cook's going to be making a run there for P4, and if he doesn't, you've also got the Ferrari driver of Noah, but this could be taking candy from baby right now because of that DRS, that Lenny Cook, and that's how powerful it is, and there it is, the Alpha. As long as he can make the exit corner out of that corner, because Luke Tembrinka wants it back. No, but yeah, it is.
No one's getting a little squirrely coming out of there as well.
Yeah.
Really struggling.
Oh, there's contact.
The back is held.
Yeah. That's Lenny Cook out. That's a big smash there. It won't be a safety car now. They will get rid of that. Won't even be a virtual. What was that? He got squirrely at him and caught him off the guard, didn't it? Like behind that, I'll get investigated for the stewards.
No, 100% going to get investigated by the stewards. It looked like, from our point of view, that he got held up on the rear, got caught on the rear by a front wing of the driver behind, and then just got put into a spin, and then of course into the path of another car, which completely took him out. There's another retirement from
AJ has
the session.
retired. Yeah, I don't know if he cooked it. He has. AJ's damaged. It's destroyed his car out of campus out of 14. That's when I was talking about that before we went into the hot lap guide. That's the tricky S high-speed sector up there where a lot of drivers do bin it in this simulation. So I don't know if anything's going to happen on the final lap right now. Jasper's going to have to push everything he possibly can. This could be the final opportunity for Jasper to try to win this race. Down out of La Source, through up into Eau Rouge, and you can see I think the Jasper's out of battery essentially at the moment, so he's just going to rely purely on DRS and a bit of slipstream. Will's actually running out of battery too, so this is going to be interesting. It's going to be too far back, do you think, Lacombe? I'd say so.
Very close. He's going to eye up the inside, throw a bit of a dummy, even though he knows he hasn't got the space. He's all about putting that pressure on the Aston Martin just ahead. He's trying to keep it close to the tail. Both of them are on the recharge right now. So they've got 6% to the Mercedes here, but gets a little bit of a better line, keeps it more tucked in. Of course, Casson trying to get the better exit. He knows that he just has to play defensively, play a little bit safer here. Doesn't need to give it all of the beans. He just needs to bring it home, because remember, it's much harder to overtake than it is to defend. But even so, looks like he's still managing to pull a gap on the Mercedes regardless.
Yeah, I think this is Will's race to win. He's not going to want to yield this at all. He can counter manage any of these attacks currently in the moment there from Jasper Ten Haken. I think Will's just saying, look, Aston, I want this race. I want to win this whole Belgian weekend. I want all three. I got the fastest lap in qualifying. I want to win the sprint race, and I want to win the feature race coming up after this. And all he has to do at the moment is just finish a couple more corners into the bus stop chicane, and he'll tick 2 of those boxes out of 3 this evening. 1 for the fastest lap for qualifying, and one for the first sprint race win. He gets it done. Will is the winner of Belgium.
There you go, the sprint race winner, Will Casson. Are we going to see, that's the question, Dean, are we going to see basically a new generation of Grand Slams? Of course, he got the fastest lap. You'll have the sprint, and then you'll have the race. If he gets all three...
Yeah, he did get the fastest lap, sorry, in this one. Peter got that one, sorry, but yeah, he did get the
I
qualifying.
would say the fastest qualifying, even.
Yeah, fine. You're
Well,
right.
that might be the
exactly.
the new type of Grand Slam. Say if you lock in the qualifying, lock in the sprint, and lock in the race. Sort of fastest laps themselves on the
He knows
race
what he's
days.
locked in. Exactly, he's got it. So, yeah, you're well on the way, you'd have to say, for the British driver to get it done, of course, sitting in a British team. So, very patriotic. Luke gets his teammate actually gets the driver a day because Luke started in P13, finishes in P6, gets some points actually for the team as well because no points on the table there for the Alfa Romeo in this first race.
And there we are. So looking, as you can see, the points on the screen. Will Casson kicking home 8 points, much needed in the championship fight, and bringing himself into contention potentially if he can keep this form up, filling the power vacuum along with known fighters. So Jesper Tenaken down in second place, taking home 7 points, and then everyone else reeling in underneath. You've got Lapalainen, Ilakorpi, Tim Brinket, Franklin, and Kloss, on with Peter Locke rounding out the top 8, all taking some points home. Much needed points in the sprint race here today.
Yeah, it was 8. Sorry, my apologies. I thought it was 6. It's 8. They get paid for the points paying positions for the sprint race. So I believe we're going to have a little bit of a break, an intermission, before we do go into our main event. I wonder if we get a chat to Will, of course. I want to see how confident the British driver is feeling right now. I'm sure he's feeling confident.
Oh,
See if we can get Will in for a quick chat.
We will have to see if he's available, but I think at this point, because remember, they've still got a race to go, so they do want that break purely just to recharge and get themselves prepared for the race ahead. I'm not sure if we're able to talk to any of the drivers necessarily.
Maybe, obviously, he'll just have to win again, so we get a chat to him.
Oh,
it's easy, right?
That's
just win. Just win. How about everybody in the chat? How you're good? I'm reading the chat. It's gone a little bit quiet at the moment. That's maybe because my internet broke and I had to get fixed up and back up.
I'm going to say hopping on the backup machine, but regardless, as I say, we are going to take that short break here, so definitely don't go anywhere. I say we had a good sprint race, had a great qualifying, some standout winners here so far, and hopefully that momentum only carries forward to the race here today. So keep it SwiftX, don't go anywhere, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, after an electrifying sprint race, it's all on the line here. We've got the NordVPN Belgian Grand Prix here at the beautiful Spa-Francorchamps. Everything comes down to this. Of course, we had the beautiful sprint race, and now we have the race itself, the feature, the main event, as the drivers are pulling in to the grid here. So no time to go through grid order, standing order, because we are jumping straight into this, no holds barred. And of course, joining me in the commentary box is the one and only Mr. Dean. Didn't look like that rain dance paid off in the end, my friend.
No, it didn't pay off. Maybe come a little bit late into this race, but it might become a little bit too late. But one thing, will Casson get the 3 in a row trifecta? That's going to be the key. He's going to be starting a pole. Ben, let's call this one. Go ahead, you call it.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The track is live and we are away. So Will Casson getting another electrifying start. It's going to be a good one for Cook as well, getting a really good getaway on those soft tires. Casson not quite getting the same run as they did the first time out, but still putting in a good run nonetheless. Lapalainen getting a little bit squirrely there, just about holding it together in that Haas. You can see the chaos potentially rapidly developing just behind. Hopefully we don't see any lap 1 incidents. It's looking okay for the time being. Bashford down the back end of the field along with Korsgaard, but Tanakin is immediately going to go on the full attack, is going to go side by side with the Aston Martin, going to leave him no
room yes, he gets
to
it.
Fight, but it's immediately going to be going down the inside. See if we can get a switchback. Casson doesn't have the opportunity to go for it. He's immediately
and he's on trouble from the Haas as well on top of it. Yes, you're right. They're going to go side by side. There's the Haas's. They're going to make way back up through turn 13 coming up in a minute. And all of a sudden, Will's dropped a couple of places there. E2 now into P2. That everybody else has actually did manage to get through safely. 13 drivers. And that's actually, before I spoke too quickly, Lenny has gone around. Lenny Cook has dropped places, tooth and nail. Must have made a very wide mistake going out of the corner.
After such a good run as well to begin with, and really surging up the field in those starting positions. Now he's going to have to fight way all the way back up again. So 22 laps here, but of course Spa being the longest circuit on the calendar means that
Joshua Bashwood's also gone around somewhere too as well. Yes, he is. Joshua. And that's out of turn 16 before he can get all the way down the main straight. But look at E2 making a run right now in the bus stop chicane. Maybe Will's got past E2. Lapalainen. So Will's back. Plenty of time, of course, up with 2 of 22 there. Jasper, he wants to make sure Jasper does not get up the road there. Korsgaard as well. P9 and P10 are making exchanges. Liam putting a bit of pressure there on Peter. It's going to be interesting then they make their way down the very long straight, of course, up through Eau Rouge first, survive that, and then do the camel straight.
So you go. So Kloss is losing a little bit of time there to Cook, is immediately managing to recover, luckily. So again, still has plenty of speed in those soft tires despite the early mishaps. They're already back up into P10 and they're going to be charging up as much as they can before that DRS window starts to kick into effect. All right, now Lapalainen is also going to be making a bit of a run here. Going to see what they can do. Of course, they had the run initially on Casson, hasn't quite got it, is running on the hard tires, fastest on the hard so far, potentially playing a little bit of a longer strategy here as they're going for the hard medium, potentially getting a little bit of an undercut.
It's going to be great to go deep into this race, pending the safety car, of course, pending the safety car. That'll be the difference. Obviously, Lenny Cook gambled on a safety car because he started on those soft tires. Didn't quite work because Lenny Cook dropped a couple of places now as well. Man started in P8 and dropped a couple, and Luke 10 Luke 10 in the Mercedes has put a bit of pressure on the back because Liam went a little bit wide. I saw one of those corners. They had to adjust, and now going to get a little bit of pressure. Lenny Cook now probably going to think about that on Korsgaard, saying, I do have a better tyre here. Softs versus hards. We all know the soft's going to have a little bit more traction. It's got to get overtakes done early in this one before those tyres go off the edge of the cliff.
He has got to get that. Got to get those moves done, and got to get those moves done fast is the main thing. So you've got Cook, who is on those softs, is kind of going to be running out of time soon. So they have got to make whatever moves they want to do quick, as they are dropping off. If they're not careful, they're going to be dropping off the back of Korsgaard. That is going to be Hardwick in the pits. Not sure if they had a potential incident, but That's going to be them all the way down at the bottom of the grid in P13 here.
And Will can't get inside that DRS of Jasper. Will Kasson. And Jasper's trying to break it. Now he's getting closer, of course. It's that crucial 1 second. DRS is now enabled, so he can't afford to let Jasper get away. He's right on the bubble of it, of course. This is about one or so seconds. As you all know, that's what it is. So we'll see whether or not he can manage to burn it and break it, and of course get that massive tow later on for the future laps coming up. Because you get a little DRS there from the bus stop into La Source too.
Well, really, it's all about just maximizing your pace across the entire track. So what we've seen between Tanakan and Kasson is that Tanakan has just got the more consistent pace across the entirety of the circuit. So Kasson looks to be the strongest through the second sector, but Tanakan hasn't beat him everywhere else. And consistency is what's going to gain you that time, rather than just short bursts of brilliant. Good for an overtake, but if you're in the attacking position like Kasson is here, you don't really have that luxury. You have to be ruthlessly consistent the whole way through.
And Will shaved about 3 tenths or so, give or say, off Jasper. Look at that. So he's underneath for a second. He's going to have the DRS toe down the short little straight. You can see get the fastest lap there. He's hunting down currently the Mercedes, and he wants to get a good exit out of La Source and use this toe to his advantage. You know, at the moment, Jasper's probably going to burn every tiny bit of battery he has at the moment in the Mercedes to cover this off. Because 17 kilometers an hour will be available at the fingertips of the Aston Martin right now.
That is, if he just about makes the window. Manages to keep it within that threshold just about, if by a hair, according to the timing tower. Managing to keep it on that tail of the Mercedes. All he has to do at this point is just run out that Mercedes, make him burn the resources, then potentially go for a longer game strategy.
Oh, Luke Tenbiki's gone around somewhere. He's put it the fence, and Mercedes is damaged into the fence. That was out of Lacombe. Will that bring out a safety car? Don't think so. No virtual safety car, but no front wing at the moment for Mercedes. So one Mercedes leading, one Mercedes dropping like a stone.
He's got no choice but to yield to Bashford coming around the inside. So the local yellows are coming out, warning the drivers of the slower traffic on the field. But right now, Tim Brinker's going to have to limp home. All eyes are on the front. Kasson's continuing to hold that pressure, but they themselves are running low on battery. Last we checked, they're on about 10%. And Tanakan is going to be on, by comparison, about 25%. So they are going to be in very good shape in terms of a defensive position. They can afford to have that charge as long as they do it where they're not under compromise. Also saying it as a big lock up from the Silver Arrows there. Big lock up on the rears. Potentially scoring those tyres a little bit, reducing that grip.
And the Ferrari there of Noah and P4, not doing too much about Lapalainen. And the Haas just up the road. Is hanging with him, but runs that's a tyre difference, of course. So the mediums versus hards. No, the mediums aren't going to go as long. Lenny Cook's gamble on those soft tyres does not have paid off at all, Ben, because he just can't get past Korsgaard, and he has the best boots in town. Well, I'd say. Had now.
I think it just is that early mistake that really sort of played against them. And with the track being so long, I know we say that 5 laps sounds like almost no life at all.
Liam and Korsgaard, sorry to cut you off there. There's a little bit of a move. Yeah, it is. Liam gets past Korsgaard, sneaks it straight through there, making those medium tyres work too, Ben. Now that's a battle for P7 and P8.
Yeah, these two are going to be fighting through it all. So both of them have got plenty to prove here at Spa-Francorchamps. Korsgaard has got the harder compound, so is ultimately losing out on pace, although may win that back if they're playing a bit of the longer game, going for longevity in terms of the strategy. Still managing as well to keep it on the tail of the Alfa Romeo, so by no means are they out of the fight, even if their boots are a little slipperier.
Now, and Korsgaard just set the fastest first sector as well too, so he wants it back from Liam. He wants it back. He's not happy to let the Alfa Romeo do anything about it. And the Alfa Romeo need crucial points here, don't they, mate? Because both of them DNF'd into that first corner accident, the first lap accident, of course, up through Eau Rouge. So some of them were passengers, some of them were a part of that one. Either way, 0 on the scoreboard for the first race is not good. They need to make it up right now. Liam currently running in P7, Joshua in P10.
Yeah, the Alphas have certainly got work to do after what happened in the sprint race. Both of them have got points to prove, just like CosAnimeDesigns has also, but still keeping it on that tail. But looking up ahead, looks like we might see something potentially happening with the Ferrari, as they're going to be teeing up soon to potentially go for a move on Lapalainen. They have the softer compound, they have the speed advantage with the DRS. There's an extra 17 kilometers an hour. Can they put it to good use? Not sure if they can. They're not close enough. They have about half battery, but they don't have the mileage.
But Liam got past Peter. Peter locked at the Red Bull. I doubt while that was happening as well down the Camel Straight. So brilliant job there. Liam making a lot of gains here up in a P6 there, saying, okay, I'm going to forget about that first race. I'm focusing on the second race at the most, the feature race. Doing a good job. Will's got got really close going to Lacombe, but backed off at the moment. You have to get a little bit closer because Jasper is the man leading the championship right now, because there is no E2, of course, Emar. Go racing at the moment. Emar will probably still be leading the championship after this round, but however, Jasper is going to be the one that's racing and knows it. Will wants it. Will has time. He's going to come down those pit stops as well too, because Will has the fastest lap. So he's got the pace. We know that. He's proven that. Got the qualifying fastest lap. He's won the last race. Biding his time. Lenny's dropped out of DRS now from CosAnimeDesigns. Liam's on a mission, on a machine. A machine on a mission? Don't tell Liam he's a machine. I think he's a human being.
Can he solve a capture? We never know. We haven't got proof.
You can. That's true,
we don't
actually.
have proof.
Can you solve a capture? That's brilliant. Keep an eye on CosAnimeDesigns now. Behind Peter. That's Williams versus Red Bull. They're going to have a little DRS tow as they go into La Source. And of course, they're going to have the mightiest tow of all tows down the Camel Straight coming up soon. If you can make your way through Eau Rouge, of course, the little Red Creek. Because of the iron in the soil that I spoke to you about before and off the air while we're warming up.
So well, CosAnimeDesigns right now is biding his time. Has to keep it within that range if he wants to go for the move. It just has to keep it within striking distance. Hasn't quite got it. Again, we're seeing a consistent problem here. So drivers are keeping on the tail, managing to get very close through the source, but just not having close enough of a run by the time they get to the Camel Straight. They just cannot hold that same level of distance. Now they're going to be coming up against a little bit of traffic here, as Liam has seemingly dropped off a little bit in pace, or as at least has a bit of a gap to make up between themselves and Franklin up in P5, but they do still have that gap. And with the pressure coming from behind with Locke and CosAnimeDesigns, he's going to have to be on his toes. He cannot afford to make any mistakes or even minor missteps, because otherwise he's really going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, there's a few big troubles happening at the moment. Will has dropped a little bit of pace there. He has to put the pedal down a little bit more, burning some more energy. Noah, of course, in P4 there. Luke Franklin in P5. They're all hanging in there. Believe it or not, CosAnimeDesigns, all right, in P8, at the fastest top speed at the moment, 346 kilometers an hour. That's about, it will take 6 or 7 kilometers an hour faster than everybody else down that main straight with the DRS tow, of course. But Peter Locke at the moment, he's the one that's just ahead of CosAnimeDesigns, and they're all behind Liam. They're going to get a nice tow from Liam as they make their way into La Source. So this is going to be very interesting to see this battle for P6. Can Liam hold them off on those medium tires? As does Peter know that CosAnimeDesigns can go 346 kilometers now down Camel Straight? That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, there's a speed record there for sure, and say Locke is already feeling the pressure. We saw them having a little bit of a lock-up on the inside tyre heading into the source here, but they have got very close to the back of the Alfa Romeo. They're going to have the run. They're going to be pushing full overtake, full beans, just like that down the Camel Straight. There's going to be them up into P6. Can they hold it, though? That is the question. They have the run, but do they have dominance and full control of the position? I don't think that Liam is going to go for a return strike just yet, but Locke really had a good run there. Already built a bit of a gap around the other two.
Yeah, he's got 341 straight line speed. It's pretty much even to Liam. I was actually quite surprised. Remember, we saw Liam during the qualifying session had a very, very quick straight line speed that he configured that car with. So maybe he's decided to tweak it a little bit now for the feature race. Didn't quite get the top speeds that he had before. Perhaps you've got to have the DRS, of course, to get the overall top speeds. But what was amazing on that one, my friend, is CosAnimeDesigns as he was approaching them at a drastic pace, he actually had to cut the corner there. He almost completely binned it out of a Rouge, but Clever went off the track a little bit and decided, okay, I'll live to see another day is better than getting 0 points.
Well, it's just giving it 110%, isn't it? Sometimes you outdrive the car, you have to make those compromises, but it's once you cross that line and you
He's
get
going to come back, but
trouble,
now he's going to put Liam under massive pressure. Liam's boxing, actually, so he doesn't have to even worry about that. First of the medium tires coming in the pit lane right now. And if we had Ted down there, we would be cutting Ted off, but definitely at the moment you know that he's going to be going to hard tires because there's no way you're going to go to the soft tires right now. Liam won't. I'll keep on those pit stop times for you while you focus on the race up the road. Hard tires definitely going on at the moment. Everybody goes, this says Jackson, all sorts of noise down here, but very, very quick pit stop there for the Alfa Romeo. Back to you in the casting box, Ben.
Yeah, it's got Ilacorpi pushing and trying to poke his head around Luke Franklin's. You've got both of the Aston Martins coming up P2 and P4, so both in the top 2 rows of the grid, proverbially. But Ilacorpi's looking to unsettle that balance right now. On the tail of Franklin, of course, another very strong contender, so the top ends of the field here. And looking to get some more life, to get those last inches of life out of those medium tires. Now he's giving his absolute all here, but regardless, it's not quite going to be enough just yet, as he's starting to fall away even to Franklin. I'm not sure what's going on in that Ferrari, but they've got to start making some moves.
The tires are bagged, mate. He's basically saying, hey, I've got medium yellow strap tires. Where is my yellow livery there, the special livery for the Ferrari? That's what he's more upset about, I think, isn't it? He's missing it. Yes. That's why he put the mediums on, and he has to stretch these tires a little bit longer. I imagine he's going to be boxing. What's going to be curious is that if Jasper goes in, Will follow, because they're also on those medium tires, and it tends to be, follow the leader. No, Will goes in, Jasper stays out. So will this undercut pay off? Very interesting.
Yeah, so we should hop on board with Casson heading into the pits now. I've got this question. It's all about a good pit stop here. If we can get this undercut executed, he can lock in the win for the race here. So it's 2.2 seconds, a very quick pit stop there from the Aston Martin. Brilliantly done there. Quick in and out of the pit lane. The team is on lock. 20-second pit stop. Comes out P7 in clean air. He's got plenty of time and a little bit of room to even get those hards up to temperature. Of course, the hardest compound to do so. But
that's the quickest pit stop so far, mate. Yeah. Because, 2.41, I think, was Liam's, and that was the record before there. So that's 2.41 stationary in the pit lane. 21.36, but you're right. Yeah, so it's a good about 20-second or so pit stop there. So Aston Martin want it. And, of course, they want Will to win all 3 here this evening and get that trifecta. And at the moment, well, he's got to put these banker laps in. It's now Will time, isn't it? Used to be Hammer time. Used to be Schumacher time. And that's where you make it, isn't it? You get those banker laps in. Clear air, put your head down, get it done with fresh boots, and then see if you can clear Jasper when he will be boxing soon.
Yeah, it's all about... And I think this is where we might even see a little bit of team play here. Of course, Casson coming in for the hards now. And then eventually you're going to see that transition point over the halfway mark of the race where Franklin is going to go in from the hards, I assume, to the mediums. But can he see about doing anything in terms of defending from the likes of Ilacorpi in that time? Or is Ilacorpi going to be pitting very soon anyway? So any defensive efforts, even if there is a charge upwards, are they even going to matter?
There's Jasper in. There. So this is going to be close. Where is Will? Well, Will's down Blackmont at 1,000,000 miles an hour. A little bit of exaggeration there, of course, but he is. Going into the bus stop chicane right now is Will. If you keep an eye on where Jasper is, I'll tell you, and then down La Source. Currently, remember the pit lane exit is out of turn 1, and it approaches as you fly your way up into the hill. Jasper's in the pit lane. Will be able to, here we go. He should be able to just see him. They're almost going to be side by side. I think he's going to get ahead. There's a Haas driver. Jasper did get ahead of Will. He did. Will would just be able to see him up through Eau Rouge and Radeon now.
Yeah, because it's just a little bit further ahead, say about 3 seconds. But remember, he's also got to warm up those hards. So that advantage could very quickly slip away, especially through the more technical sections of the circuit. It's already down to 1.6 seconds, dropping down fast. The question is, how long can he hold it?
Yeah, exactly. Go get the temperature. You see him weaving on the camel straight to try to get temperature in there. Peter Locke at the moment. Peter Locke is in P3 on Coors Guide up the road. And they're the hard tyre remains. So they'll be doing pit stops, of course, soon. There's 4 hard runners at the moment that haven't yet to make a pit stop. E2 did. Lapalainen, he elected to get rid of those hard tyres about at the same time the medium runners are doing. And, of course, don't even... Yeah, I was going to say who's the last medium runner? That was, yeah. So that's it at the moment. Halfway through the race, those pit stops are practically done for everybody, apart from the top 3. And Maximum Kloss in P8 with the hard tyres, which we can expect to go a little bit deeper. I don't think, Ben, anybody can go that deep into the race that you could switch it to softs. That's a big risk, isn't it? Big gamble.
That'd be big risk. And also, you got to question how much time it would lose on a track like this, considering how much... of the
it looks like we're having a spin. Joshua Bashford has lost it out of turn 16, I think, and we're seeing Luke Franklin go on the pit lane. So Joshua has lost it there.
So here you go. That's going to be Franklin again. A very fast pit stop. The Aston Martin pit crew is absolutely on fire here. Both of them getting very, very fast pit stops. And as you can see, Bashford coming out and getting a DSQ from the session for unknown reasons.
It was for driving the wrong way. So, yeah, the marshals are very strict, obviously, in this game, and they've determined that, hey, your car putting the wrong way. It's probably because he did spin it. He's probably trying to get turning car around or whatever, and the marshals declared you did not have enough time to do it, and they've disqualified him, so it's very, very unfortunate, and that's something that... It is when you have artificial marshals, isn't it? They make those decisions sometimes that aren't exactly what we would be as humans. Maybe they need to be pulling out some captures. But E2 and Will at the moment, there it is. So Will Casson, he's got E2 right there in front of him, Lapalainen. Lapalainen had just boxed, remember? So Lapalainen has gained this place. He's gained that advantage by boxing a little bit later. The overcut is working brilliantly for the Haas driver.
Yeah, so far it's looking very, very strong, and it almost looked like Casson yielded, interestingly. It's like it had the positional advantage, but he also had Lapalainen on the inside, so I think he just made that judgment call, play it a little bit safer, knowing he had a compound disadvantage and just opting to maybe run it out, stay on the tail of the Haas, and then as we get to the latter stages of the race where the mediums really start to see that drop-off, maybe you can go for a strike back. Don't forget as well, you've still got the top 2 guys needing to pit.
And to get the DRS run. Yeah, the Coast Guard's playing boxing right now on cue, says Ben. Here we go. As well as Peter. So they go, yeah, they listen to you, Ben. Of course, they're probably listening to your casting at the moment. Will has got to stay within E2 Lapalainen. And Lapalainen ended up as just on the cusp there of keeping with Jasper. This will be down the top 3 in the net race. And if I was Will Caston, of course, he's got to, he's going to get the DRS toe, but he has to make sure that Jasper Ten Haken does not get up the road, because you know what happened last time Jasper Ten Haken gets up the road, he gets a little bit of an advantage here. So they've got to keep him with there. Will knows this. He's got to keep him sharp, but E2 Lapalainen, of course, has the better boots because he's elected to go onto the mediums once he started on the hards. So then there's ifs, sends, hows, whys, whats. Get your calculator out. It's Formula 1. It's SwiftX. It's round 9.
And just like that, so Kloss coming out of the pits, Hardwick going into the pits. Both of them are going to be jostling to try and get some positions out. Looks like Kloss comes out just ahead of Trebrinka down the bottom end of the field, but all eyes in the middle are at the top end of the field. You've got
the pace,
Lapalainen chasing down right now the leader of Tenaken. And
he's fast, man.
Got
the best boots, doesn't he? Look at that. He's shaved half a second almost. He's looking super quick. That's got to put a smile, wouldn't you, on the face there of Will Casson, knowing that, hey, thank you very much. The more you get the toe to Jasper, the more I get the toe to you. And also it's bringing his teammate Luke Franklin into play. So Aston Martin Day could be shining here for the British team.
It all depends on how those two ahead of them choose to fight. As if Tenaken puts on a good defensive, that's going to ultimately slow the both of them down and bring both Casson and Franklin into striking distance. So all depends on how Lapalainen can potentially either get round or get stuck behind Tenaken.
Oh, look at the exit he has right now. He got to trust in the tyres, and you would, wouldn't you? Because those medium tyres, they're going to brake a little bit better. They're going to hopefully brake a little bit better, not slam up the back there of them. And look at the exit speed he gets. He's got to get on the power. 4th gear, 5th gear, 6th gear. He's short shifting early, of course. because he wants to follow him up through a Rouge. And if he can get on the back of this Merc right here, around here, bang, that's going to be taken care of from, baby. DRS activation before even the DRS activation, done. Now, how's this going to help Will? Because Will's just outside of the DRS activation, watching this from his Aston Martin further back in P3. He lets Luke through because Luke's got the better tire. Clever play, maybe, the Aston Martins?
I think it's a good team play there. It's a good strategy call. No team orders to spook up, but purely just two drivers acknowledging each other, knowing what's best for the team. And in that case, Casson is playing a bit of a longer game, so he can let Franklin go for a bit more of a short-term charge, because it means that they've got the fastest lap. They've proved that they have it. And right now, they just need to keep pushing. But right, as it stands, I wouldn't say be too resting on my laurels if I was up at the front like Lapalainen and Tenaken, because we're seeing, as you saw at the top of the screen, time penalties are starting to kick in for a lot of drivers for track limits.
Yeah, warnings, of course. There's 2 at the moment for Lapalainen. There's 2 for Haken. That's going to be oof. And there's none for Luke, and there's 2 for Will. So any minute soon, you might see that big nasty message that the drivers don't want to hear, or the teams don't want to hear, which is that 3-second. There it is on cue almost. That was bleak, something else, but yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. Will letting Luke in there. Luke's got the better tire. Let Luke try to catch the Asper there. He's also going to help Will get a tow. Remember, if Will falls out of the DRS, Luke can slow a little bit to allow him to have a DRS. But at the moment, it's just like, I think that's the Aston Martin team have gone, Luke, take Jasper ten Haken right now for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Just get past him and help your teammate out.
Do what must be done. And right now, Franklin's got a little bit of a speed advantage. They both got the DRS, but still, Luke's going to have a much stronger tow as well. It's going to be about 10 kilometers an hour in it. He's going to go weaving left, right, going to be poking his nose out, coming down the Camel Straight. Not going to be enough just yet, but he's still going to keep that pressure on regardless in that Aston Martin. He's really not going to give the Silver Arrows absolutely an inch. They both may have British bases, but by no means does that make them best pals. They're going to be pushing and heading down into Puon. Looks like Franklin has the superior resource. Haken getting a very good getaway, but it's not going to be enough. You can see, and Franklin can also see quite well. They're on the recharge. They're on the back foot. Casson, though, getting a time penalty. He's going to have to fight that one back up. But
and they got to. This is crucial now. It's even more crucial for Luke, who has no warnings whatsoever to pressure Jasper ten Haken into a final penalty, a final corner cutting. So he gets that penalty club and join it, because Lapalainen is in that 3-second club. Will's in that 3-second club now, and Luke has to force Jasper ten Haken into that 3-second club. That way, Luke can win this race, of course.
Or even just purely on positional merit. Because, getting very deep a little bit and heading into the bus stop chicane. You saw that lock up on the fronts very, very briefly. But regardless, both are pushing with everything. You can see it's one of the fastest laps on the field from Franklin overall. And is just consistently holding up that better pace. They have the compound advantage right now. They need to make good use of it. They can't be affording to get stuck behind a hard tire runner.
Watch this.
Watch this. Recharge.
Jasper's got nothing in the tank here. Aston Martin's he's gonna have to commit to somewhere right now. He cannot go back on the racing line. And Luke's gonna rely on his medium tires to break that car a little bit earlier and get the job done and move his way up at a P2. There it is. And now it's up to Will whether or not he can try to burn some energy there and break that DRS, because he's down 1.4 seconds down the road. Luke is thinking about number 1 right now.
Luke's still in a precarious position, though, because he has got those medium tires to contend with. Noah is going to get a 3-second time penalty. Lapalainen is going to get another 3 seconds. So he's seemingly pushing too hard in the name of keeping that on-track lead. You can see the warnings coming up left, right, and center from the stewards. But Franklin still has to contend. He still has to contend with that fact he's got medium tires on. Come the final laps, Tenaken is going to have the hard advantage, so he basically needs to get as much of a gap. Franklin needs to get as much of a gap on Tenaken as he can before those mediums start to fall away.
Yeah, you're right as well. So it's one thing to catch, it's another thing to overtake, of course. And Will Castle now has caught the back of Jasper, so he's in the DRS. So we got that nice little DRS trade, of course, from P1 down to P4. Well, of course, Lapalainen doesn't get the DRS. Got 2.8 seconds to CosGuard, having a lonely race, but a good race because he's gaining on this too, remember. He's 2.8 with 3-lap mediums. He's got pretty much some of the freshest boots in town. So the number 8 driver of Peter Lockie, he had a little bit of off-track moment there before. So he's dropped a little bit. Liam is putting a bit of pressure there on the Ferrari with no penalties from Liam, so that's good. Lots of battles on track, 17 or 22, but this is now the business end, mate. This is now where you earn your very expensive paycheck as a Formula 1 driver.
Yeah, this is what it all comes down to. Is Lapalainen's on the recharge now and trying to defend. You can see it goes on the inside. Franklin goes around the outside, swings it round, has the superior speed, and just like that, he's up into P1.
Yeah, and in P1 with a +3 advantage as well. Remember that? So looking good, looking strong. And now, if he can just maintain the lead and get away and pull away, he's then going to have to think about how can I possibly help my teammate there so we can get a 1-2 for Aston Martin. That's going to be key. Well, Jasper's the big one in play here, of course, because Will has the penalties. Jasper doesn't, but Jasper's still nursing a 2 warning. And guess what? Lapalainen now is 1 away from another time penalty to make it 6. So Will's definitely good for a podium here, but he's got to force Jasper ten Haken into a final mistake to get to join the 3-second club.
That's really going to be the question, is who is going to yield first? Is it going to be the Aston Martin of Will Casson, or is it going to be his currently main rival we've seen over the course of the weekend? That is going to be Jasper ten Haken in the Mercedes. Both of them are putting in a really strong fight and giving it their absolute all at the moment. But it needs that little extra push from Casson in order to get that move done and to get that push done around. Because as I say, Lapalainen's on the cusp of making that penalty 6 seconds, which really put them out of the running. Yeah,
but that's podium gone. I don't think E2 at the moment has to just think about that and say, look, if I'm going to have to lose a position, I have to lose a position, because you get a 6-second penalty, and that's you're down to P4 after you're P4 anyway. And he might not even be able to cover CosGuard after CosGuard is flying on those fresh mediums too. That's another thing. It's 18 at 22, so it's not a lot of laps, but hey, we're not at Texas Motor Speedway, of course. Not an oval you can do in 30 seconds. This is a 7-kilometer track. It's almost a sub 2-minute 2-minute lap. So it's 1 minute 45 is a lot to do in, what are we looking at, 4 or so laps. So plenty of time for these drivers. This is a crucial time, isn't it, when they're talking to the engineers and how are you going to do your micromanagement? What are you going to do? Keep your head cool, calm, collective.
At this point,
Luke has got a 1.5 second gap now. Up the road, done. That's what Luke needs to do. Just get on with it. Burn, burn, burn. And then once you've got that little bit of a buffer, his tires are okay, about 35%. Once you've got that buffer anyway, you can back off on your lap times, can't you? You can afford at that point to lose 1/10, 2/10 per lap and still win.
We just can't give it too much, as we almost saw Hardwick do, getting very squirrely, coming down into the second sector. Very, very dangerous to keep pushing the car, and especially on some of the wigglier sections, as such as heading into Puon here.
Doing your wiggly sections, I love it. They're all wiggly sections. Formula One, but this is approaching, of course, the bus stop chicane. You said they've extended it. I know that, mate, because I was waiting in the wrong bus stop to pick the bus up to go back to the hotel room. They moved it on me.
Tragedy.
Will's got the DRS here, but CosGuard's are going to be a pressure. So now only he's not just looking forward, he's got to check his mirrors, because there's a bit of Blue Williams there appearing.
This is the balancing act, really, because Casson's in a very precarious position. It looks like he's just out of range of ten Haken to retain that DRS, or at least it's very close. They just about managed to get it, but they've also got to balance the attack on ten Haken from the defense of CosGuard.
And CosGuard with no penalties as well. But of course, it's another one of those 2 warning clubs. The 3-second clubs you don't want to be, but the 2 warning club is where currently at the moment Jasper ten Haken is, and CosGuard, the only ones in the top 5 there that don't have that 3-second slap next to their name. Luke is another ball game himself. Luke doesn't even have a warning. Luke's race to win, no problemo. But the question is, who wants the podium places, the 2nd and the 3rd on the podium? That's up for grabs right now.
Well, I can't help but think, however, is that if Casson didn't fumble the start as they dropped down to 3rd place on that first lap, remember, if he didn't happen, we very likely will be seeing an Aston Martin on the top.
We're seeing a full safety car, but oh no, that's a very late safety car. So that, oh wow, that's because it was an accident. I think there was a car stopped on track, and that was, I think I'm looking at, that's a Ferrari. Oh no, that's Noah. Noah is out of this race, and now a late safety car equals no more DRS available. That's it. Forget it. The button now does not function on your steering wheel. You got a sprint race to the end. We should get 2 laps, mate. That's it. So we'll have 1 under a safety car, and then it'll be green flag conditions again. Well, what a way to spice this up. They're going to get even closer now.
It's a
how much of an opportunity? And they're all boxing the softs.
It's going to be crazy. I mean, we saw, yes, the Ferrari of Corpi was stopped sideways on track, basically beached, couldn't get himself out to the point Hardwick took the racing line, didn't expect it, and absolutely clubbed the side. So that is, if the safety car wasn't on before, it was definitely confirmed by then. There we go. So
well, Ben, I'll tell you one thing right now, mate. This is 100 times more exciting than any esports event that might be occurring, isn't it? This is fun. This is not watching drivers at like watching a 110% AI race go around almost like half a second between each other for, 75% of a race distance, which we don't get, of course. This is actually absolutely exciting. This is just, if you're not enjoying this, then you're not enjoying Formula One right now.
Okay, they got to get the heats into those softs, but you say all of the infections, all of the shakeups is what makes these kind of leagues so interesting, so fun to be a part of, so fun to watch as well. Regardless, everyone is going in the pits, every single driver, even double stacking at points, compromising grid position, if it means going for the full run.
There for a second, don't.
Even if it means going for the full run, that means going for everything. Although not sure what's happened there.
Ben. Yep, I don't know what happened there, Ben, but hey, you know what? The safety car saved you on that one. That's great.
Yeah, lucky we had a safety car. It's a minor technical issue there. Apologies for that. But yeah, everyone is out on softs. Everyone went for the pits, including double stackers.
That's
even
interesting.
Compromising that
Ben,
position.
I wanted to ask you that question real quick there. If you can share you don't need to worry about sharing your camera. I know what the action is. But just to let you know, would it have been a gamble for anybody to really stay out? Wouldn't you? You probably would have been murdered, wouldn't you? Of those, if you stayed out on those 9-lap mediums, would that to get track position? Would that still have been worth it?
You are a sitting duck. Everyone's going to be on fresh softs. Everyone's going to be on warmed up softs. So even if you ran on the mediums and retained track position, the space you get with the safety car is nigh on negligible. Not to mention, everyone is going to be on such a pace difference to you, to the point where you will lose more positions. So even if it is a double stack, even if you lose a couple spots, you would have lost more spots anyway, sticking on, say, old mediums or even old hards.
But 2 laps, but yeah, I don't know.
Even
maybe if it was 4 laps or something. Okay, fair enough. Well, you know your stuff. You're a driver. Well, they've all elected to go soft. So basically, let's just scratch this. This is now turning into a 2-lap qualifying race. That's what it is now, isn't it? Qualifying sprint, 2 laps.
It's a final
no
sprint.
DRS as well, remember. No DRS for 2. So no 15 to 17 kilometer an hour letterbox advantage. Here we go. Green flag as they make their way to the bus stop chicane. Luke leading from Lapalida and Jasper Tenhaken.
It's a big, perfect switcheroo for the Aston Martins. He got from one Aston Martin going from 5th to 1st, one Aston Martin going from 1st to 5th. It's a perfect yo-yo, perfect switcheroo.
And Will making a run on course guard up the inside there of La Source. Bumping and grinding, gets it done, sneaks his way through.
So just about holding it together. Both of them coming together, coming out of La Source, but they're going to have to be continuing to push, as they cannot take this one lying down. Cassen's got the position, but just like that, Course Guard is going to go for the return strike. They're going to be side by side down the Campbell Straight, neck and neck. Cassen's going to have the inside. They're rubbing tires. They are making contact. Cassen is round. They're crashing into each other, and just like that, Cassen is fully out of the running. He's down in P10. He can't recover from this. Course Guard manages to get away, but it's not going to be the cleanest of victories there. Might even be one illicit of race control.
He also picked up, another penalty. Look at Lenny Cook, of course, trying to make a position gain, but of course he's doing it on Course Guard. Course Guard now, after losing a little bit of time in that one, still hold off. He has no penalties. And Luke Franklin has 0 anything, looking good to win this race. And it's going to be more about, what do you think Jasper Ten Haken's going to try to do? Jasper Ten Haken's going to get that P2 anyway. Liam's too far back, I think, 3 seconds down the road to do it. So that's it. It looks like to me that Luke Franklin's going to take this victory, as his teammate, of course, Will's going to still get a point, but unfortunately not the points that he wanted in P10. And Jasper Ten Haken's going to just say, well, I'll take a P2 because it'll boost me even more in this championship as we're on the penultimate lap.
From what looked like an indomitable form, with both of the Astons being so high up in the points, to now them struggling hard, say, in both ends of the field. Say Casson all the way down in P10. But here we go. Say final lap here. All eyes are on the front of the grid. Franklin's on the defense. He cannot afford to let this slip now. We hope that he's got the resources on tap, because otherwise, with Lapalainen and Ten Haken behind him with the DRS, he's going to be a sitting duck. Let's see. Can he hold them off? Say, in fact, to say DRS not coming into effect at all, but he's still going to get the toe down the Campbell Straight. Still slowly going to be reeling them in. You can see those tenths coming down further and further, and on the speed traps again, Lapalainen just eking that little bit more. Those differences are going to add up.
Lapalainen has to be careful here. He has to settle for a P2. Sorry, P3. He cannot afford to make mistakes because he's on 3-second penalty, but he's on 5 warnings, which means now one more, it's game over. He will lose actually out to Liam. So I would just calm down and settle. But he's not. He's not, because he's just at the fastest sector. I don't know what's going on in the mind of the Mercedes. You can throw this one away right now if you go a little bit too far off track, because you've got a podium. It's guaranteed. But if you do a mistake right now, Liam's going to get you that podium. So you've just got to be cool, calm, and collective.
So it's the driver's pride. You forget that everyone is racing their own race for their own pride, for their own wins. But speaking of wins, despite everyone's best efforts, it's going to be Luke Franklin, despite a final big lockup, say sending it home. It's going to be Luke Franklin taking the checkered flag, winning the Belgian Grand Prix. And what a showing it was, as it could not be stopped, did not put a foot wrong. What a race from the Aston Martin.
And on top of it, the Aston Martin has done it for the Aston Martin weekend here in Spa. He got the fastest lap on the last lap as well, just to add injury and insult to any of the other teams. Because even though Will Casson did not win this race, Will Casson got the qualifying one. And Luke Franklin's also getting the driver of the day at the moment there from Cody's. But Aston Martin 1 and Aston Martin 10. But Aston Martin overall have won every single event this weekend. They've got the qualifying, they've won the sprint race, and now they've won the feature race, regardless of what teammates there are, and they got the fastest lap. So, hey, green means go in Belgium.
And go they did. And what showing that was. But so you can see Franklin coming up to the podium, a well-earned celebration as he comes to the top step. And as he joins his fellow racers, like Lapalainen and Ten Haken from P2, he can take pride in the performance he put for the team today.
A very good drive, we'd have to say there from Liam Markham as well, too, because he came from 10th place and finished in P4, as well as Korsgaard. Let's not take that one away. Once again, penalties, don't. The less penalties you get, the better results you get. But go ahead through those results for us, please, Ben.
And sometimes it means that more consistent, clean racing is more powerful than anything else. But there you go, Luke Franco being your race winner for today. Jasper Ten Haken and E2 Lapalainen taking home 2nd and 3rd place. And then you have Liam Markham P4, Korsgaard P5, Luke P6, Tim Brinker in P7, Maximilian Kos coming down in P8 along with Will Casson in P9, Lenny Cook down in P10, and then Hardwick, Ilakorpi and Bashford unfortunately not making it home to the checkered flag here in Belgium. But what a race. What a race. I struggle to keep up with that.
That's what I'm saying, my friend. This is esports, but this is entertaining esports. That's all I can say about that one. Obviously, I have to hear from these drivers, no doubt, Ben. But you got to remember, I mean, still got it granted to, obviously, at the end of the day, Will Casson. I mean, it was a little tiny mistake and issues and stuff like that, but still managed to get crucial points there. Still got a point, finishing in P10. That's what they say. First, you have to finish. To finish first you have to finish, and still finished But Luke, wow, domination at the end, isn't it? Absolutely just annihilated everybody, Phil, once he got that job done. And you know, you have to actually, we'll talk obviously to Luke Franklin, but I think that was we called that strategy play, didn't it? Will Casson let Luke through so that he could just get on with it, and look what happened. He wins the race.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone predicted the safety car coming out, but even so, they were geared up for it. So that strategy call to let the faster driver through, either by an engineer or by their own volition, was the best move to make, as we saw the fruits of their labor coming through.
And on top of it, mate, the double stack did hurt Will because he came out behind. Just trying to think who it was there for a second, because so I've got a little bit of names. But I think he came out behind Korsgaard, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that cost him that little bit of time.
Yeah, that little bit of time cost didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because everyone was so bunched up anyway. But that being said, it was more on the fact that they had, well, let's say, because from our perspective, it looked like unfortunate contact with Korsgaard. But if that hadn't happened, I would have say he still would have been completely okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the extra car to overtake. And they're all the similar tires, of course, brand new, fresh, soft tires. That's what I do love about safety cars. Sometimes it does work, is the fact that you get the, you get the change. You actually get to see softs in a race, don't you? Because the only person that gambled on softs, of course, was who was it? The AlphaTauri driver there of Lenny Cook was the only one I believe who gambled actually on those soft tires at the start, and everybody. So we did get to see almost all the compounds used for the dry tires.
Yeah, it was like almost. As I say, we saw in normal running as well for a lot of the drivers. It was the medium hard strategy that carried it for the most part, although the gamble, Cook, would have worked out again. And we're seeing a pattern is that everyone's strategies worked out on paper, but it was sudden events or errors, mistakes that really undid them. And in the case of Cook, is they had the softs, had a really good run, and then stacked all the way back down to the bottom. And they did make up some good positions, I can give them credit, but they did still ultimately lose out what would have been a much bigger points haul.
And you're right about the late safety car. It's very unusual to get a late safety car, 2 laps, essentially? It was called on lap 19, I believe. And that's the latest you possibly generally can get in this game. The latest, the absolute latest. Because, of course, they have to, on lap 20, they allowed them to still go green flag racing again, which means you only allowed that 1 lap or so for everybody to catch up. And it was kind of lucky. At that point, everybody decided, well, we'll all go softs and we'll have this little a mini sprint race in a feature race per se at the end.
Yeah, it was really like a final couple lap shootout, but either way, we've got a few drivers who are lined up. Unfortunately, we don't get the luxury of talking to Luke Franklin, but one person we can talk to is, let's see if I can just grab them here. We can have a bit of a chat to Jesper Ten Aken, so one of the top podium runners.
Jesper, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, explain that one excitement. Well, both your races, of course. First of all, explain your explain your qualifying, and then your sprint race, and then this feature race.
That's will be quite a long story. I think starting with quali, quali I felt quite good actually. I think the pace was very good. On my last lap, I was on route for pole. I was improving a lot, and then in sector 2, I came across I think an Aston Martin who spun off. So I had to move aside, lost a little bit of time, but then the chunk of time I lost in the bus stop chicane when there was a Red Bull stopped on the inside, and I lost, I think, 2/10, which, in the end, I was less than half a tenth of pole. So if the Red Bull just moved, I would have got the pole. So that was a bit frustrating. In the sprint race, I tried to make up the positions. I don't know for what reason, but I struggled a little bit more in the sprint than in the actual race, actually. But the sprint race, I tried to set up a move on Cas on the last lap, but then on the last lap I didn't have the best exit, so I just ran out of road, unfortunately. And then the full race, I think, we had the wrong strategy, to be honest. I think we started on the mediums, and you could see the guys on hards. They got us in the end. After the sprint race, I gambled on an early safety car, to be honest, so I could go from medium to hard and then finish the race. But the safety car never came, and the guys on hards just overtook me on the mediums, and then I hope to have better tires at the last few laps, but then there was another safety car, so that equaled out, and everyone could go to softs. And yeah, when with no DRS for the last few laps, I think there was nothing I can do. So I think another P2. I mean, yeah, what can I do?
P2 is good, but in a championship, and you say gamble because that's the key, gambling. You did 10 laps, obviously, on those soft tires, medium tires, and the other drivers around you did those hard tires at the start. That's P1 and P3. Luke and E2 had put the hards on. That finished in first and third, but you finished in second with the mediums, no penalties. And this is the one thing I wanted to ask you as well, teammate. You were nursing 2 warnings, I believe, for a long, hard, during battles at the end of that race. Were you aware of that? Can you confirm it was 2 warnings that you were on?
Yeah, I can confirm. I think the first warning was lap 1, and then somewhere during the middle part,
how
I got
much
another
is that going through your mind? One, to join that 3-second club equals you're under big pressure there of finishing on the podium.
Well, actually, during the race, I try not to focus on it too much, because if you adjust your driving on the warnings, I think you'll get another warning earlier. Let's say if you just keep pushing and drive on the limit, I think you're less likely to get a penalty than if you just being careful. But then at sometimes I would just like so close to a track limit warning again, the third one, and then afterwards I'm like, ooh, I have to watch out because this could be killing if I get another one. It's more afterwards.
And the Aston Martin drivers, because that's what I always think. As an engineer, I always say to the other drivers, you know, if you have engineers, you say push him into a fault, push him into a warning. Obviously, with you, it works well, yes, but we've seen all season. You know, once again, that's a key out there. Everybody's listening. If you don't want to pick up penalties in, you know, really wheel-to-wheel grinding racing, just listen to how Jasper Ten Haken handles it. Doesn't focus on it, ignores it. It works, right? Because you'll have to hold off that whole pressure and not get a penalty, which makes the difference. But Ben, questions there, because Jasper's done it again, man. Now you're leading the championship. Unfortunately, you're not going to have Emar around to battle, but you still have plenty of people battling you today, mate.
Of course, that kind of leads me into my question, really, which is the fact, of course, Emir was your main championship rival. Now that he's gone, how comfortable are you feeling in your championship efforts for the season?
Yeah, I think I didn't expect this question, of course, last week after being in a championship battle with Amir for quite a while. First of all, I think it's a shame that he left. I think it's a shame for the league as well in a whole. I think the main rival at the moment still is Amir, because I'm not ruling out him making a comeback at any point, and we all know his pace. So I think he will be the main threat until, let's say if he's not driving for the next 3, 4, 5 weeks, of course, then it's another story. But if he makes a return next week or the week after, I think he'll still be the #1 favorite. But let's say he's not coming back. Then to be honest, I do feel quite comfortable. I mean, then my main rival would be E2, who finished P3 again, but the gap is already like over 50 points, and I finish ahead again today. So if Emar's not coming back, then I'm quite confident, but let's hope he comes back.
I'd be quite confident that just like the real F1, we may very much have another Dutch world champion.
Well, what I said, if Amir's not coming back, it could very well be happening, yeah.
There we go. So, well,
we have to bring E2, won't we, Ben, to have a chat as well about this.
We'll see if we can get him on, but to say for now, you can take pride in the performance you put on today, mate. Great stuff from you. How are you feeling heading into next round?
I think if I'm not mistaken, we're going to Monza next.
Yes.
I'm always quite comfortable on Monza, to be honest. I like the track. It's good for overtaking usually. I enjoy it, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
That's good.
Yes, but real quick, if I'm not mistaken, just double confirm this one. It seemed to me that your straight line pace was not so. You did tune your car for a lot of that Camel Straight top speed.
Well, usually I always have my car set up for very high top speeds. I like the car to be, but I think today it was more balanced. I've heard people running extreme downforce and extreme top speed setup, so I think I was a bit in the middle, maybe a little bit to the downforce side. But
you were.
Yeah, I think maybe I could have changed, but of course that's in hindsight. I felt quite comfortable in the second sector, so I think that's something to be you want to have as well to be comfortable in sector 2, not only in the straight line speed. So I like the car. I think it felt quite good, and yeah, I think P2 still with the setup is okay.
You love the P2s, but they work.
It's what they work.
Don't they? Thank you very much there. That's Jasper Ten Hacken, everybody. The Dutch driver, of course, the Dutch Army, has finished there himself in P2 there and leading the championship with a little bit more of a comfortable advantage there, trying to catch, obviously, Emar that might very well be back or not. Thank you very much there, Jasper Ten Hacken. Another job done there for the Dutch driver in the Mercedes as we go over to E2, of course, Lapalainen. We'll drag E2 Lapalainen. A2 Lapalainen. Well, guess what?
Hello.
The finisher back. The finishing, of course. The Haas driver finishing P3, starting on P3 with the penalty. But yeah, how was that whole weekend racing for you, mate?
I really didn't expect to even be on the podium. I did half an hour of practice, just TT, and I was pretty surprised with my pace. Yeah, nothing else to say really.
Ben?
Well,
Ben's got some questions for you. So he's got notes.
Hit the nail on. I say, like, if that's how you feel on it, then fair enough. I mean, of course, your pace was on point, on track. Did you ever sort of think to, and we were saying this to Tanakan earlier, regarding, say, warnings, track limits, did you ever have to tell yourself at any point, it's like, okay, turn down the wick, I'm running too close to the edge, I could get myself a penalty?
Yeah, I did, but I was really surprised that I got a warning in turn 1. I never got a warning in turn 1, I just got warnings in the second sector or something. It was really weird, the turn 1. I think I got wheel spin and I went a bit wide, then I got the warning. Yeah, really unfortunate.
Yeah, but you picked up 2 others, and then believe it or not, you actually picked up 5 overall, which means you got 1 penalty, and then you were on the cusp of picking up your second penalty, which means Liam would have stole that position away from you.
I was pushing.
How was that?
I was pushing a bit after I got the penalty to try to get away from course car, but then the safety car came out and I thought it was over for me, so. But then
the safety car surprised everybody, didn't it? Because I mean, I don't think it asked that everybody was going, "What, a safety car with like 2 laps to go?" Or so, 3 laps to go.
Yeah, I was really surprised as well about that. 2 laps, and then the crash happened with Korsgaard and Cass. That really saved me. I wouldn't have been on the podium if that didn't happen. So thankful to that.
Yeah, and so the other thing as well is once you've got that penalty, and this is going to sound very backwards given everything we talked about, but I think it's fair to say that once you've got that penalty, it's almost like a counters reset. It's like when you have your 3 strikes and then you're out, but of course once you get those 3 warnings and you get the penalty, it's like, right, so I've got 2 free mulligans again. I can push a little bit harder and then dial it back. Was that the same thought process?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You gotta love the Finnish driver. This is so cool, calm and collective. Iceman, of course, Leppäläinen is back, of course, in the Haas.
Iceman, yeah.
Yeah, P3 to P3, mate, with the penalty still, and that podium's a podium. Celebrations. Yeah. Haas are on a podium. That's right, everybody. You heard it live. Haas got a podium. Yeah, and E2 Leppäläinen is back at it, mate. Now, you're probably one of the closest rivals too, Jasper Ten Hacken. Now you got a feel going into the rest of the season there. Can you sneak some points out of him?
Yeah, I mean, if Emir joins back, then it's again Jasper versus Emir, because Emir is just. I raced in tier 1 with him, or raced. Yeah, he was super quick. I couldn't never match him, but really
now
depends.
You have to match just Jasper for now.
Yeah, really depends how quick he is in the next rounds. I might practice a bit more so.
And Italy, mate. I mean, there's no practice for Italy. Everybody's done Monza a bazillion times, right? How do you feel going to that track?
I feel pretty good. I'm not that slow around there, I think, but it's really close. It's gonna
be in
really
a
close.
Ferrari-powered car, even though it's a Haas, in the front of the Tifosi. So you're gonna have the 50,000 screaming Tifosi.
Yeah, I might have to win there, right?
Yeah, of course you're gonna have to win there. Don't make me Gunter's calling you right now saying, yes, you have to win. Okay, mate. That's what you say. You're a driver. You get paid the big bucks for that. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go. So P3 to P3, great performance out there today. Hopefully that momentum continues, and hopefully next week, to quote Gunther Steiner, you've got to look like a bunch of legends.
Yeah, I was going to say a bunch of but you got it.
There we go. It's great stuff today, mate. Thank you. And with that being said, that is going to be...
Well, we have one more.
Well, do we have one more? Or is that
Yeah,
our
I think we
stream
have
manager?
to speak to Liam, because Liam is the Alfa Romeo driver, remember, after we won't even talk about their performance in the sprint race. But
here's me
Liam,
thinking
you
this
made
is
it
the
up, didn't you,
stream
in
manager,
the
hurry up.
feature race?
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose I've gone from that little wooden boat in Monaco now. I've got a yacht after that performance, I guess. But oh, voice crack. Yeah, no, it was good. I would have got Edu had Cass and Course Guard not slow me down. I had to brake and take avoidant action because they span each other out. But so that's a bit unfortunate. But P4 from P10 for me is still incredible, you know.
And you didn't even get the driver of the day, believe it or not, on that one. Well, actually, who was the driver of the day voted by everybody in the SwiftX Racing League chat?
I believe Ben has it all on his thing to be able to have a look.
But yeah, we'll get that one for you in a second. But yeah, Liam, you were charging your way through the field. A lot of overtakes, a lot of camera time on you. You just came out of the gate there. Yes, you were.
Oh.
You got a lot of, didn't Ben, like Liam was just flying through the field, and you revived, like, you know, as you said, out of the wooden boat and into a fast speeding yacht.
Yeah, I have to say, it's like a driver possessed. Man on a mission.
I don't think it did that good. I'll take that.
Well, you wanted to get some points for Alfa Romeo, of course. Your teammate Joshua did not finish with any points here with the DNF, but he kind of made it up.
You know, it is unfortunate for Josh because he didn't actually do anything wrong. He spun and then he was trying to unspin himself and he got disqualified.
Yeah, we saw. I mean, that's just the heavy. They talk about Michael Massey being hard in Formula One. You haven't met the AI stewards in the F1 game.
None. Yeah, no Michael Massive can compare.
Yeah. But Liam, that was good. Now you're going to be heading to one of your home tracks, almost, of course. Well, Alfa Romeo's home is in Switzerland, but yeah, the Tifosi, who like the Alfa Romeos. How are you going to be going to Italy?
Hopefully good. I'm not a massive fan of Monza, so I like a good flowing track, and Monza is the opposite of flowing. It's speed up, bro.
13 corners, mate. 13. Just turn left, right, left, right, left, and they're done. How hard can it be?
Yeah, you say that, mate. No.
You're a Monaco master, and you're going to complain about how difficult Monza is?
Yeah, mate, it is, especially when you go side by side with someone through turn one, because people can't keep it clean, and you ruin your day.
And you can't go side by side through turn one, mate. That's where you're going to go all wrong.
Yeah, tell that to half the people around here.
I mean, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton can't do it, and they get paid the big bucks, so I don't know how anybody else is going to be able to do it.
Yeah, no, I'm happy though, because I think I'm P5 in the standings now after that, provisionally.
Oh, you are? Okay, yeah. And you get recovering some more crucial points there for the Alfa Romeo team, which I believe is very up in the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah. And I think Alfa Romeo's gone up.
Have you got our driver of the day results as voted from everybody in the Discord chat? Of course, follow the Discord chat, be a part of this racing league. All the links and descriptions are below. Luke Franklin will get the driver of the day, the Aston Martin. Why not?
I think everyone mostly agreed with the Codys there. So yeah, fifth to first, it is going to be
and the
Luke
fastest
Franklin,
lap,
along with the fastest lap to take driver of the day.
Yeah,
both the sprint and the race, he got fastest lap. So.
Oh, there you go. So even more. It was an Aston Martin domination today, and that was a fantastic job, wasn't it? So, thank you, Liam. Ben, you have to wrap this up. I know it's getting late there. You're tired. You've been up since 5 o'clock in the morning, all day, every day, doing all this stuff. And you're gonna have to do it again next weekend as well, mate.
There we do it for the love, do it for the passion. But yeah, so let's talk next week. Speaking of, because next week takes us, as we've been alluding to Monza. So Temple of Speed, absolute peak speed is going to be going through that track. Say Tifosi is going to be on all guns are blazing. No taking it wide through Parabolica and other hijinks and shenanigans. Any final passing thoughts before we practice talking about different shades of red and yellow?
Pineapple and pizza.
I see you are a man of warfare.
That's why my visa was denied every time I go to Italy.
That would explain a lot. You refuse to tell me. This man would never tell me the reason why his visas get denied. Now we finally know.
I'll cast it from the border, okay? I'll be in France, just right on the border there, and I'll be shouting as loud as I possibly can. But it's been a privilege joining you in the casting box.
If you see a man on the fence with a phone and a microphone, do not speak to him.
And in a top hat as well, exactly.
Do not interact. He is dangerous.
There's nothing wrong with pineapple on pizza. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it.
Shh, you're not going to be allowed in Italy if you keep saying that too loud, my friend.
And just
anyway,
like that, he's
Ben,
back in the cool-down room.
Yeah, of course. And it's glad to have you back again, of course, mate. And it's going to be glad to sharing some pizza. Debatable what we're going to have on the pizza, of course, in Italy. But, yeah, we're going to be definitely there for round 10, as you mentioned, on the 19th of this month. So it's only just a week away from now. And just a little bit of update. Unfortunately, the reason why AJ had not rejoined the session as well, too, the Canadian driver, was because his computer decided to DNF. So hopefully you get his all the important bits and pieces on that car back so he can race it again in Italy.
It's unfortunate, but yes, for the feature race, AJ Jackson scores that did not start because neither did his computer. Either way, hopefully, say all smooth running for good times ahead. We will see you in a week in Monza. Keep it SwiftX, keep it here. It's been amazing. We've been your commentators in the box, and we will see you next time.